You can't teach your daughter how to be a woman, bro, because you're
Right.
not a woman. And a mother can't teach her son how to be a man. Though she can implement what a man looks like to her, but only a man can show a boy how to be a man, and only a woman can show. And at least that's just my opinion. I know it might not be the opinions of everybody else, but that's, to me, unfortunately, that's just what it is, man. I'm not even gonna say it's an opinion. It's what it is. Speaking from a man. All right, so today on Mixed Realities, we're joined by Hudson Presume, a mortgage originator with Fairway Home Mortgage. Today, we're gonna be asking Hudson basically what it's like working in today's market as a mortgage originator, and just also get to know Hudson a little bit. We'd like to highlight some of his personalities, man, and just kind of show you what he's about and the skills that he brings to the table versus using another mortgage originator. With all that being said, Hudson, what's the word, man? What's the scoop?
Hello, Julian. Thank you for having me. Real estate, mortgage, right now in today's industry, in Manatee County, Sarasota County, is crazy. As of now, there's a lot more listings available than around COVID time. So, buyers now have a lot more opportunities to, get deals. Majority of my clients are getting, some or all of their closing costs paid, because some of these homes are sitting on the market for 60, 90 days and 120 days. But overall, buyers are still buying, regardless of what the interest rates are. People are going to continue to move to Florida, and they're going to continue to buy real estate. What I'm seeing now as a mortgage loan officer, you have to be a technician. You honestly have to know how to do every single loan, whether it's a down payment assistance loan, whether if it's an FHA loan or a conventional loan, or some type of asset verification loan. It's just so like demanding. If you don't know how to do a loan, well, you better learn how to do the loan. And it's this industry is so rewarding and so fulfilling. What gets me going is you're always learning something new. It's never the same. I've been at other jobs where things stayed the same, but in the mortgage industry, there's always something crazy that happens. There's always like a guideline change, or a new product. It's just learning more each week.
Yeah.
That's what got me. That's what has me, loving, doing mortgage. And it's, it's an honor to do it. It's, like I said, it's very fulfilling, and it's also rewarding.
Okay. Now that I can contest to, bro, because I mean, I think that the changes in the real estate market, it just makes it to where you're not just constantly doing the same thing every day, though it challenges you to the utmost for sure. But I think that's what, I guess, a thriving entrepreneur, of just in the meaning of entrepreneurism, that's what I guess gives us our feel, if you say so, is just like the constant changing and adapting to things. Okay, well, hey, I know there's a couple questions, right? People are gonna want to know. They're like, okay, well, we're hearing a lot. How is it a good time to buy, or is it a good time to sell? Like, how are you responding to the clients that are asking you, hey, is this a good time to be buying? Yes, we're in a buyer's market, but what's your response to somebody asking you as a buyer, hey, is this a good time to be buying a home?
I think it's always a good time to buy a home, especially if you live in Florida. Our properties appreciate over time. I mean, if you're going to continue to rent, I mean, you'll rent, 1, 2, 3, 4 years, and let's just say you go rent another place. Like, you're not going to make any money back on that. Whereas if you purchase, a piece of property and you live in that property for 2 and 3 and 4 years, you can sell it, and all that money you put into it, some of it you'll get back, and then, it's like having a 401k. You're working as you're making like a monthly payment, you're paying for your investment, but your investment's also gaining value.
Yeah.
So like, why would you want to pay rent? And, for people who are asking, is it now a good time to buy? I guess it just depends on your situation.
Right.
I've had clients that have, had their rent increase $1,000 like last minute, and, making, purchasing or buying a house and paying for a mortgage makes sense, because that's what they're going to be paying for rent. Or, people who are moving, from up north down here. Or, there's people that have rent that's like $1,000. I mean, if I was paying $1,000 a month, like, shoot, I probably stay in the same spot too,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because you really can't find that anywhere. But I say all that to like if I were you, you know, and I was a first time home buyer, I would try to buy,
Mm-hmm.
especially in Florida.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm telling the buyers that I work with that, again, yes, anytime, really, whenever you can buy, that's a good time to buy a home, right? Because, I mean, it's also definitely dependent on situation, but not paying rent, which is basically you're paying a mortgage one way or another to me.
Oh yeah,
You're either going to
100%.
pay your mortgage or somebody else's mortgage, except one, you don't get the money back.
Mm.
You're paying somebody else, basically putting money in their pocket. But I always tell everybody, I'm like, hey, whenever you can buy a property, buy it. Because whenever you lock in at a price, you got that price. Now, interest rates, of course, fluctuate up and down, up and down. I mean, that's what it is.
Mm.
But whenever you're able to buy, you want to take the opportunity to buy the property and start gaining equity and also take like gaining appreciate, like utilizing the appreciation to your advantage. So that way, whether it be in 2, 3, 5 years, 6 or so, however long it's going to take for I guess the pinwheel to fall on your favor, because things are changing all the time. You just got to wait and capitalize on when it's best for you. So I'm like, hey, go out and buy property. And to sellers though, I get a lot of sellers as an agent. They're asking me, is this a good time to sell? Is this a good time to sell? How would you respond to somebody asking you about selling their property?
So I own a house. Like now for me, I bought in 2021. So that's like a different, you know, for me, like my interest rates, like I pay, my interest rate is like 3.125.
Mm-hmm.
And I think interest rates right now, let's just say like national average is 7%. Like, no, I wouldn't sell my house,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like for what, like I'm paying right now. Like if I bought my house, like right now, like in this like time right now, like my monthly payment would probably be almost $3,000,
Mm-hmm.
you know, easily, you know, almost $1,000 more than what I pay now. You
Okay.
know? So again, it just depends. Like, so if I do sell, okay, I sell, then for me to buy, you know, my same house, like same price,
Mm-hmm.
you know, somewhere else and pay, you know, double the interest rate, it just has to make sense, you
Okay.
know? So it just depends.
Mm-hmm.
But for
So
me, I wouldn't sell.
you wouldn't sell? Okay. Well, I would say, right, and that falls in line as it's not a bad time to sell your house depending on your situation.
This is true.
So because the interest rates are going up and down all the time, I would say, well, hey, what's the reason? Which is always going to be the thing, right? Because why are you selling your house? Because there has to be a reason that you're doing it. And that would basically determine, okay, well, this is the right time to sell. It's based on the situation. So yes, we're in a buyer's market in our area for sure where we're at. And I think as a nation in general, of course, you got, you know, those little pocket areas where it's going to be different. But in general, I would say we're in a buyer's market just because we have so much inventory everywhere. But I would say, yes, sell your house, but it's going to be based on situation. So yes, buyer's market, buyers have leverage. But again, if you work with a professional, I would say, right, that knows how to use leverage to gain leverage. It's again, all depending on who you're working with, right? So I would say, yeah, for sure. Always, when I'm talking to sellers, they'll always ask, hey, do you think it's a good time for me to sell my house? I'm like, well, it's not a bad time to sell. One, because you're working with me. I know how to leverage. But also depending on what is your situation, what's the reason you're trying to sell, that will tell you if it's a good time to sell or not. Just like in any other market, even in 2020, in 2021, where it was like crazy. What's your reason? Are you looking to make money? Are you looking to move because you're looking to downsize or get more room, more space, yard, whatever the case may be? So I would tell you guys, again, depending on your reason, even though in a buyer's market, it's a good time to sell your house. Yes. All right, bro. So we've talked a little bit about the mortgage side of the spectrum. So now let's give people a shot to know who you are, bro, and what's your reason for doing this. So I would ask you, what first pulled you into mortgage? Were you doing something else before getting into doing mortgages? And what's kept you in it? Because I mean, it's changed so much. Man, we've seen so many people drop out of your field already, just from the beginning of this year and was it early 2024, right? The changes started happening where people were just dropping off. I know as a real estate agent, the NAR lawsuit caused a lot of agents to drop off the map. But I know we've spoken about this before, and you told me a lot of mortgage officers have like not renewed their license and basically caught off their license. What's kept you in doing this while a lot of other people are just walking away from it?
I honestly just love my job. You just get to work with like so many different people, um, and there's just something new
Mm-hmm.
every, it might be every day, it maybe every other day, but it's something new. You learn something new weekly, being in mortgage, and the fact that like I'm a former athlete, and just being a former athlete who just likes to like compete and
Mm-hmm.
like hunt, like being a mortgage loan officer, like you have to, you wear many hats. Whereas, you being a therapist and you have to like, explain like disclosures, the numbers, you meet the family and like
Mm-hmm.
the two different
Yeah.
personalities. And like it's just the whole aspect of being like you honestly have to be a chameleon, to be a mortgage loan officer. Cause like every family is different. And like having like those tools and having like the ability to do that, to just go from like, this person to that person, and you're having to change and adapt, and like the whole aspect of having mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
and having to like meet people, because I'm already a people person. I have an outgoing personality, and it just, this industry, like what I do for a living, just matches me.
Mm-hmm.
So I just love to like meet people. I love to talk to people, and just, people from all different walks of life. And, for just being in the business since, 2016,
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you I've met a lot of people, and you can name me someone and I can actually tell you a story about like that person.
Yeah.
It's that deep, But I know I'm not always gonna have that kind of memory, but like every person that has like closed a loan with me, it's a story. It's a journey.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and I remember that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just so fulfilling for me.
I would say the same exact thing, bro. I can attest to it, at least on my spectrum, where as an agent, like from the point in time that you start working with somebody, specifically, let's even talk about just going under contract. It's like, for me, I look at it, all right, we're about to embark on a little journey, as if we were climbing a mountain for 30 days or something like that. It's like,
Mhm.
things are happening, right? We're solving problems. And it's just like, man, you get to know people so well,
Mhm.
like while you're in this process with them, and then coming out of it. And I think this is what at least gives me, I guess, a desire or the love of this
Mhm.
is the closing table. Once you get to the closing table and you're just able to, ah man, we finally got here. Like everything went, we did it at least the best that we could as far as protecting our clients. And now we're closing. It's all laughter and joy. Like, yeah, we're here now after
Mhm.
weaving through obstacles and stuff like that. So I think I agree with you 100%, bro. It's like it's the it's the characteristics, yeah. So outside of that though, how did you get into mortgage though? What were you exposed to it, or did you just happen to stumble across it? How did you get into the field?
So I was working for a credit union in town,
Mm-hmm.
and this particular credit union was the actual credit union for Tropicana.
Mm-hmm.
So Tropicana headquarters, Tropicana. So and I was a loan officer there, and we did everything but mortgages.
Mm.
And I honestly like learned like, from front office to back office, from car loans to credit card loans, trade lines, but like we weren't big enough to like get into mortgages at the time.
Yeah.
And one of our one of our vendors, I met him, and had lunch with another guy, and met Diamond Dave.
Dave.
Diamond Dave.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had like the weirdest interview where like, yeah, like my boss was like having me take shots. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like what kind of interview is this?
Yeah.
But anyways, like 30 minutes like, into like, the lunch meeting, like I was talking shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, competitive
Yeah.
athlete, like, and then he was like, "You're hired."
Mm-hmm.
And that was my interview. So then like,
That's crazy.
yeah, it was the craziest interview I ever had. And yeah, April of 2016. That's when I got into mortgage.
Wow, bro. I think that would entail, I mean, obviously connecting to people, which of course you have to do as a profession, as a part of your profession. Right? You have to be able to connect with people, but for you to be able to go on an interview and then you're drinking, basically having fun, and that's the interview, is like that shows, right? That's a skill to me that you have to have, and that's to be able to connect with people.
Hmm.
And of course, for me, it's all about who you know, not what you know. Because you can always learn the what,
This is true.
but who you know will open doors for you. So
This is true.
all right, brother. Well, hey, That's crazy, bro. You're like,
Yeah.
from taking shots to now being exposed into the mortgage industry. That's hilarious. All right, so of course we're gonna be honest here, man. Specifically in now's market, this is my opinion. This is definitely a high pressure job, bro.
100%.
It's high pressure because everybody's relying on you specific. And I know as a lender, right? As an agent, I think we have it tough. But as a lender, you get all the blame, regardless of what's going on. It's like, oh, well, we can't close, blame the lender. Something got delayed, blame the lender. We have to extend the closing date. Oh, it's the lender's fault. Of course, every situation is different, but I often see the lender being blamed. So it is a high pressure job. How do you cope with the pressure in dealing with the job?
Honestly, you just have to be made for this job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just have to like stand in the paint. Now I'll say like it's taken like I've definitely had like my share of experiences where where you're in like a certain situation so much that you learn how to like navigate through the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like when like your back is on the wall, like I mean you can only go far so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like at some point you're just gonna be like, fuck that shit. You're just gonna like push back.
Yeah.
And just try to like figure out a way. And just like as a loan officer, like you're supposed to be a problem solver.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's your job. Like solve the problem. Once you solve the problem, then all the emails, all the calls, the text messages that are coming at me because we can't close, like that's how like, we deal with them. So like I can absorb, the bullets, the shots, and I don't know, it's a skill that you have to learn. And I think that goes to show like why there's, not as many loan officers anymore. Because, at one point we had 400,000 loan officers in like 2020. And then like now, like we have less than 100,000 nationwide.
Oh, wow. That's a huge drop, man.
And so it's a very, very high pressure job. And I think, it pays well,
Yeah,
it pays well, so high pressure jobs pay well. So, I mean, that's all I can say about that, man. It's just like, it has to be in you.
So basically you got to be built for it. Do you think that's something that you eventually acquire? Because in my opinion, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say, because before you know it, the thing will eat you up and spit you out, man. Like, so I want to say you have to have like high resiliency, because like as these things are happening, especially when you don't have like a mentor, which I would always recommend to any and everybody, go find a mentor to help you, and not even just mortgage or real estate, anything that you're doing. It just makes the learning curve a lot easier to navigate versus dealing with things on your own, because it's hard to know how to react to things and to know if you're reacting to things correctly. So I'm going to say specifically the high pressure things, like being an agent, of course, after you, then we're getting blamed for everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've helped multiple people out where like, and I'm overextending myself, overdoing it because I prioritize customer service, and I know you do too. So we're always having to go above and beyond. And then for people to turn around way after we're done closing on the house, now this is a problem, then they turn it around on you. Oh, well, you should have did this or shit. I'm like, no, I shouldn't have been doing that to begin with. Mm-hmm. I'm just helping you out. So I think you have to be made with that and have that resiliency. That's just my opinion. Now, do you think you can get or build whatever it is that you're saying that makes you have to have it in you? Do you think you obtain that over time, or is just you have it or you don't?
No, you 100% have to obtain it over time. It's brick by brick, tough conversation after tough conversation, tough situation after tough situation, and it's just trying to figure out a solution, because we're problem solvers. Like, okay, if this loan doesn't work, okay, let's try this loan product,
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's just, we just have to, you just have to build it up. You're not going to get it on the first time. We're just, as humans, like we care, we care. Like I care, I 100% care for my people. I care for my clients, and I care for my teammates. So I definitely want to see the client succeed and, sign, at the closing table. But when it comes to, delivering like tough news, it's something that you have to build up for sure.
Okay. Well, I guess I was more or less, I was from your I guess productions, I would say, from somebody like a mortgage originator that I don't know if I want to call it grit or whatever it is, but it's like to be able to deal with the pressure though of like everything coming down on you. Cause I'm saying, man, over time that just it's like a wall or a foundation being chipped at and chipped at, unless you're like strong within your foundation.
Yeah.
So do you think because why would some people not stick with the job? I mean, obviously it pays well if you do your job good. So why is it that, I mean, from 400,000, and I'm sure it's probably over time trickled down. It wasn't just like a wake up and then went from 4 to 80, 87. But like, why, even though it pays well, some or a lot or the majority leave and only the few stay back? Because obviously, I mean, if you do it well enough, you're going to be paid. You're paid well.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that makes you be able to keep moving forward and then the next person doesn't?
One, I guess it would have to, it would have to be the fit. I'm thankful and grateful that I am working with a great team at Fairway. And it's weekly, daily, it's constant like business development. Like like here's how you can get better. Here's how you can do this. This company isn't doing this. Like put this into your game. Put this into your business. And having like, my operations team, help me like on the back end so that way I can help like more people. It all depends on it's my fit. It's the fit. That's why I'm able to survive in this industry now. My team, I have, multiple mentors, there's multiple people on the team that I speak to daily. They might call me first thing in the morning or they might call me late at night. It might be venting or might be like a crazy win.
Right.
So I have like constant people on my team pouring into me. And as they're pouring into me, I'm learning new things, new products, new, scenarios on situations on, where other loan officers from different companies can't,
Yeah.
So like the best example I could tell you is I'm dealing with the rescue loan now. He's been with another lender since February, and he just called me, and I've had his file for 2 days. He's in underwriting, and he comes out of underwriting Friday. So it's just learning, constantly learning.
Yeah.
And I didn't have this, in previous places that I worked at, and that's all I'll say.
Okay.
So I'm grateful for my Fairway team.
So I'm gonna see if I'm gonna break that down to maybe connect to a couple different people who probably can't get what you're saying. So I think as a former athlete myself, a lot of us crave that team atmosphere. And I think just like any good NFL team or NBA team, you're not able to take a player and just plop them anywhere. They have to fit into the scheme of things for them to succeed. I would say pretty much majority of things that involve like teamwork is like that. Like you're not going to be able to fit at every single mortgage company, but there is some that are made for you where the scheme of things is going to push you up to be as successful as you can be or as you want to be. So I think, and I definitely agree with you that you have to be a part of the of a well-oiled machine, I would say, for you to be successful. So I think you said something that really struck me too, right? Even as a leader, as in anything, like you should have people pouring into you because your job is to pour into your clients, pour into situations to make those situations better. So you can only pour what you got. So if you're not constantly refilling yourself as well, then you're not going to have enough to pour into other people. And I think that's where probably a large portion of the 400,000 originators, that's where they fell off too. And I would say as a client, and that's a question I would ask somebody specifically when we're tying into like real estate. Do you have somebody that's pouring into you when we run across a problems? Because we don't know what problems we're going to run into until we get there. So when we run into the problems and you don't have the answers, who do you have that's going to be able to help you get those answers? Is somebody pouring into your cup like you're pouring into my cup? I would definitely ask that because you want to make sure, like, our job, to me, in my opinion, is specifically solving problems because especially right now, you're just running into all sorts of crazy things sometimes that you can't even predict that are going to happen. So when you don't have the answers, who do you have in your corner that can help you? What coach do you have in your corner that can help you find the answer? Sometimes we have to work together. Heads together can solve problems better than one can. So I agree with you 100%, brother.
Not only do you have to pour into the clients and you have teammates pouring into you, but you also have to pour into the realtors. Because the realtors are your partners.
Mm-hmm.
And as this industry is changing, you have to pour into each other because everything is constantly changing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we work well together as well as that
100%.
because we both understand that. And instead of, man, I've seen it way too much. And I've been on the other side of the spectrum where people are running to me. Hey, what's happening? What's going on? I'm like, wait, I'm not doing your loan, bro. Like, I'm not lending. I don't know what's happening. I'm talking to these guys, but you're asking me things that they can't tell me. So let's get on a 3-way call and see if we can get to the bottom of the problem, which is basically putting all those heads together and figuring out what's going on. I feel like a lot of times it's talking to people and kind of talking them off the ledge. Because everybody, when you're buying a property, bro, you get so emotionally invested into it. The moment something goes wrong, whether it's big or small, you're freaking out. Like you're already about to jump over the ledge. It's like talking, hey, relax. It's not that bad. It's not that big of an issue. Let's get on the phone call together and figure this thing out. So, and I think we work well together. And specifically, your team at Fairway. And we have to give them a shout out because I think you guys have a well-oiled machine over there and you have people that's pouring into you. And I don't work for your company, but they are pouring into me as well. Shout out Mike. Brother, hey, my boy is serious on his marketing stuff, bro. Like
the Dukes.
I've never seen, and I could usually tell when people are living in their purpose just because their motion and movement are different. Even if they don't have a ridiculous amount of success, that you know where they're going because you can tell their movement and the way that they take their craft. It's way different than everybody else. And I would say that's Mike. So shout out Mike. And I appreciate all you do and all you've done for me, my brother. He's definitely put me on to a lot of things on social media. And I would say is a good chunk of the reason why, like, I got on this podcast and got it started. Because we've been planning on doing this for like 2.5 years before we actually got to the point where we launched it. And it took me going up to Fort Lauderdale the first time and sitting down and talking to Mike. And he's like, bro, what are you waiting for? Just go ahead and get it started. And I'm like, you know what? You're right, bro. Like, we've been chopping around. I'm like a perfectionist, want everything to be perfect. But you just got to go and get started. And then things will align correctly. But getting started is like the hardest thing. So, again, shout out Mike. And shout out Derek. And bro, all your guys over there are just like legit. Very welcoming. I've sat in on team meetings that you guys are doing. It's just, I can identify when a machine is running correctly. And they have a well-oiled machine going on over there with the moving parts that they've been able to assemble together, which is why they have the success that they do. They're moving like ridiculous amount of numbers. So shout out to the Fairway team, man.
Let's go. Fairway Fort Lauderdale.
Shout out. All right, man. So, okay. So,
hey, I got to shout out my processor, Elliot. We call him Skinny Pedal Elliot. I got to shout out Elliot. That's my man.
Yeah, making the moves behind the scenes.
Shout out
man.
Diamond Dave. Shout out Justin. And shout out Brian Kutu, big dog. Gotta shout out him.
You got to give the props when they deserve, man. Because I mean, you don't have a lot of companies don't have it all together and have it. I think when you start prioritizing the people that are helping you move forward as a company, as an owner, that's when success really starts happening. Because without you guys, there is no them, and they do a real good job at lifting you up, pouring into you guys.
100%. Like if I have any kind of issue, I literally have like 4 1-800 numbers. 1-800 Justin, 1-800 Derek, 1-800 Jeff Ballard, 1-800 Brian. So it's great to have like someone to lean on, like, whenever you have some kind of issue. Like Brian, for example, I had something crazy last minute and I was trying to keep it together. And I called Brian, and Brian and his family were getting ready to go on a cruise. Could you imagine?
That's crazy.
A cruise, 30 minutes. And if I had someone call me, like, I wouldn't be able to think. But yeah, he helped me fix my file and we closed. Like, that's definitely a benefit of having like 4 different people you can call. 1-800 Brian.
That's why you got to be a part of a team that's prioritizing your success, because your success is their success, legitimately.
Oh yeah, so
you're not succeeding, they're not succeeding. Also, you forgot another one, the 1-800 Mike. I know Mike Dukes, I be reaching out to him, asking him things, man.
Dukes.
Hey, he's a professional, man. That's a marketer, bro. So I
yeah.
gotta shout him out, bro. I appreciate you for everything that you've done, as far as like helping us get off the ground, and also just the stuff that you've been able to help me like
The Dukes.
grab the concept, brother.
The Dukes.
Appreciate it. All right, so was there like a personal moment for you, bro, that like say you were at level 3, and did you have a personal moment that, because I mean we all know sometimes we feel like we hit a ceiling.
Mhm.
Did you have a personal moment? Because I know like from when we first met to where you are at now, it's like different. It's like way different. I know you were with a different company, but like was there a personal, like did you have a personal moment that like picked you up to the next level that made you like, all right, no, I'm gonna like recenter, realign myself, and like we're gonna like basically push our way through whatever that ceiling was?
Honestly, this goes back to fit. And a lot of the companies that I did work for, especially in the beginning, like wasn't like a team, oriented, atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Um, not saying anything bad or anything. It's just like, you know, maybe it just doesn't fit.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
shoe
yeah.
don't fit.
Mm-hmm.
It's, it just happens sometimes, and like, yeah, so my visit to Fort Lauderdale, and you've been there before,
Yeah, yeah.
energy don't lie,
Yeah, it don't.
you know? And so just being able to fit, with our team has been a game changer for me, and it's made me happier. I've improved as a person. I've improved as a loan officer. I
Mm-hmm.
honestly, these last 60 days in mortgage, I feel like I've gotten like an encyclopedia of mortgage.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and I have them to thank for.
Man, that's a I as you say this, I just imagine trying to fit in a pair of shoes that don't fit me right. Like you can get your feet into some shoes, whether it's like on a smaller end or too big for you type of thing.
Hmm.
But like it'll be on your feet, but it's not gonna be comfortable,
Hmm.
and you're not gonna be moving and operating right. And then not until you just get your foot in that right pair just fits well, and now you're like able to operate as you should.
Hmm.
It's crazy, man. What the right scheme will do for you, as far as like success wise.
Oh yeah.
All right, man. So yeah, no, yeah, it's crazy, man. Being in real estate, it's rewarding. I mean, just even the tougher things that you gotta go through is just like, I know it may not feel like it when you're in the midst of it, man, but it's just like I'm sitting back here as we're talking, and I'm like, man, it's been a lot, but like you like the growth from it though is
Oh
just
yeah.
it's just insane. It's just insane. I'm
Yeah.
grateful to the industry, man, regardless of its ups and downs. I'm grateful for it. But anyway, so you are raising 2 kids, bro. Your kids are awesome. So as a dad, and you're a single father, with the amount of time and effort that it takes to be a good originator, how do you structure your life not only to be present for your kids? 'Cause you mad like bro, you're super involved with your children, and I can witness that. How do you structure your life to not only excel as an originator, but to still be there and be present for your children? How do you do that?
Balance. And I'm not gonna say like my life is balanced because it isn't by any chance. It's things just happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll speak about Diamond Dave. So Diamond Dave, when I started working with him in 2016, he has 2 kids as well, and he would always tell me like, make sure you spend time with the kids, make sure
Mm-hmm.
you're present. Don't miss, try not to miss. Try not to like, try to be there. And I've met different people in different walks of life who always say it goes fast, like it
Mm-hmm.
goes in the blink of
Yep,
an
that
eye.
it does,
It
boy.
goes and honestly, it's just like been like so repetitive that I've like taken it to heart, and it does go fast. Like
Mm-hmm.
there are things that Zeke used to say, and then I wish he would still say it
Yeah, yeah,
the way
yeah.
he used to say it, but he doesn't anymore. He knows how to say the word correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And Camila the same way. And so like the job is always gonna be there.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah, it
mean?
is. Yeah.
And but my kids, where they're at, they're gonna continue to grow, and they're gonna remember. They're gonna know when, if dad was there and if he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't present. And I'm by any chance it's not easy at all. Having like a son who wants to wrestle, and then I have my daughter who wants me to like lay down and watch a show with her.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different. So you got to know how to like turn it off.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to.
And I think just not only speaking on your experience, but for me, like, bro, for somebody like for me, I'm the definition of like can only do one thing at a time. And I know that's a like a joke between like husband and wives. Like the wives think they can multitask, which is no such thing. You're working at things and dividing your attention. But we'll let them have it. Wives can multitask and husbands can't and dudes can't. But for me, I definitely can't. Like if I'm focusing on one thing and even in conversation, like I notice like I can't, like I'll just be listening, but the words are basically flowing out of my ear. But I'm trying to respond. I'm like, bro, like now I start getting frustrated because I can only do one thing at one time. So being present is, I'm not going to say it's not tough because I prioritize that before work, money, a business. Because to me, a business is like a child, but it comes last to your child. I'm going to make sure that I'm here for my children. I didn't have that. Like I didn't have a father that was present and good to me. So I'm like, I made that a priority to make sure that my kids aren't saying that same thing sitting in a chair like this one day. So you have to be there. In those moments, bro, they go so fast. Like I'm sitting there thinking about my kids and like, bro, it's like one day, they're 2 and then the next day they're like 6.
Oh yeah.
And then you just like, sometimes I just wake up and it feels like overnight they like hit some sort of development. It's like you're hearing more clear words and they're holding even more steady conversation with you. It makes you want to cry a little bit, but it's like at the same time, you're happy to see those developments going the right way. It's like, oh man, look at this little dude, bro. Like,
I know
he's able to do this now and able to do that now. And then you think, oh man, it was just not too long ago. To me, like one of my favorite stages is like the like freshly new baby type. It's like you just, they're so small, you almost hold them in one hand. And then next thing you know, it's like, and it goes fast. Like 1 month, they're just like doubling in size and just like, so you got to cherish those moments, man. And I, for sure, from my standpoint, like you rocking it, man. I mean, we all know single mothers, out there, they be grinding and they make ways for their children. And I think a father is just as important as anything else. Like you need to have both parents around because we teach different things. And certain things, you can't teach your daughter how to be a woman, bro, because you're not a woman. And a mother can't teach her son how to be a man, though she can implement what a man looks like to her. But only a man can show a boy how to be a man, and only a woman can show. And at least that's just my opinion. I know it might not be the opinions of everybody else, but that's, to me, unfortunately, that's just what it is, man. I'm not even gonna say it's an opinion. It's what it is. Speaking from a man, so
it definitely takes a village.
It takes a village, and from your standpoint, I love that Dave is like being real, and you met him through work, right? Like through a business thing. So it's like for you to be able to develop. And before I even continue, we met through business, and you develop relationship with people you work with, which to me is my favorite type because we meet people in a working atmosphere. You work together so much, and we're working so closely. You can't help but become friends or enemies. Let's not go towards being enemies. Being enemies, those are the worst. But it's like you can't help but become friends and get involved with these people because you're working very closely with them. So I mean, yeah, you're doing a great job, bro. You're killing it.
Thank you.
You're killing it. Your kids are great.
Thank you.
So
they are a joy.
Yeah, they are, man.
And a headache.
They're hilarious. Okay, so. Oh man, this is crazy. This question is fire too. So we all can learn from everything, and we definitely as parents, and I feel like it takes a parent to really understand. Like, bro, what are some of the what has your kids taught you about life and or leadership that you apply to business?
That's a tough question, man. Honestly, what they have taught me is they're always watching. I tell you that straight up. Yeah, they're always watching, so I have to be very careful of what I do and how I move because they are watching. And my little 6-year-old, he is very smart. He's honestly top of the class, and so like I have to tread lightly and how I speak, what I say, because they're honestly like. They're like parrots, like, what he might say or she might say what I say, and like use it like outside of the house, like incorrectly. I'm just keeping it real. Yeah. So like for me, it's how I act in front of even like the phone calls. Like the phone calls, they listen like, well, who's that, Dada? Like, it's a customer. Don't worry. Oh, what's the customer's name? Like,
I was asking questions, right?
But like number one would be like how I present myself, around them. and like by not saying like certain words, and like there's words that they're learning outside of the house, like in daycare, that they're
Mm-hmm.
bringing home, and like,
Yeah.
hey, don't say this,
Mm-hmm.
this is why. And so that way, like, if I'm not using it in the household, like, by example, I can take that and go outside, and like they don't do it
Yeah, yeah.
outside, you know? Um, but that would be like number one for me. It's just it's how I act. I try not to be, I try to be like me,
Mm-hmm.
their dad, not, someone else. Like, even though I have to like, I'm a chameleon, I have to like switch and be
Yeah,
someone
yeah,
else for
yeah, yeah.
someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But like for them, like I want to be the same person, the same, loving, nurturing dad that, wants them to show them, the right path, the right
Mm-hmm.
way, you know? That's the best way I can answer that question. It's
Bro,
a hard question.
it is a tough question. I think for me, I would say, well, and I think this is gonna vary between people, but for me, it's patience.
Mhm.
Like, man, first of all, I'm naturally, I don't want to say it because I don't like. I think the words have power, but I'm not. Been learning patience through my children,
Yeah.
and then applying that to my business because it almost feels a little similar when you're dealing with people. Not that they're not children, but you do have to have patience because when you're working in real estate and you're dealing with people, and I think just in general, I don't even think it matters what field you're in. Like situations play a part. People are dealing with certain personal things that
Mhm.
sometimes they can't help but let it spill onto you. And that's why they say, like, when you're in real estate, you have to wear multiple hats. You have to be a therapist. You have
Oh,
to be
yeah.
this because you have to be cautious and also sensitive to people's situation, man. Because you're dealing with people a lot of times in real estate. People are selling homes for divorces, babies, death in the family. So they're like, it's like an open wound that you have to be very like careful about sewing back together, or at least being a part of like the healing. And because I mean, you're dealing with a high and stressful transaction as to begin with. And I
Mhm.
think from dealing with my children, as I'm working on certain things as well,
Mhm.
and trying not to pass on generational curses to them, like the patience is what I think is the key takeaway for me as far as like dealing with kids. Like, man, you really have to have patience because one, these kids are learning, and it's your job as a parent, I think, to direct them and help steer them in the right way. But they're learning, so
Mhm.
they're gonna push boundaries. They're gonna test you, and you can't just lash out and blow up on them. You have to again, just I think being remain present and also conscious of what you're doing and be aware what you're doing and saying has taught me patience, which I use that to then apply to my business. And also don't bring it home. Like you don't want to bring your business home, your work or the things that you deal with on the outside either. It's like you're right, exactly. Like being able to turn off work and coming home and dealing with your kids as a loving father, which is very important. Is to provide love to your children as a father and as a man to show them that it's okay to be vulnerable. I
Mhm.
struggled a lot with that actually. But yeah, bro, 100% on the on the money with it. So now let's talk a little bit about mortgages, right? And let's talk to first time home buyers.
Mhm.
I know that's a when you're first buying your home, you were once everybody who
Mhm.
purchased a home was once a first time home buyer. We know what that's like because it's similar situations for most people.
Mhm.
So, what should a first time home buyer know before they start shopping for a house and how to make the process easier for themselves? I guess in relations to the stuff that they're providing to a professional. So I guess the first part of the question would be like, what should they know before they start shopping for a house as a first time home buyer?
I mean, they should know how much they're pre-approved for, first of all.
How much money you can afford?
Yeah, how much you can afford. I mean, first, how much they can budget. Um, you know, the different programs that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
It all boils down to like, their goal.
Yeah.
I've had like first time home buyers come in and have their payment, $1,500. Well, I want my payment to be $1,500. Well, Manatee County, it's gonna be difficult to find a house under 300,000. So at 300,000, your monthly payment's over $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna get that out of the way. So $1,500 isn't happening.
Unless you putting like half the amount of the house down or a ridiculously large amount of money, which I would say, first of all, I'm not a financial advisor of any sort, not advising anybody financially.
Mhm.
But if you have a large sum amount of money and you're buying a house for the first time, I would not tell you take half of that money, which pretty much like it's gonna take half or more to be able to get your payment down to $1,500.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. But again, I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. But yeah, okay. So, all right, and for you, let's talk about you as a mortgage guy, and you're helping somebody out.
Mhm.
What would make it easier for them? What would help you make the process easier for them? What do they need to provide you to make the process easier for them? Because I know a lot of times, like, you really should be asking a lot of deep questions, like financial questions, to make sure you're actually pre-approving people based on not only financially but their situation as well.
Mhm.
What can a first-time home buyer do for you when they're getting pre-approved to make your job easier and then making the process easier for them? Because it all ties in together.
Yeah. So what we do is we have is called our Fairway Pre-Approval Advantage program. And so what we do is we have like upfront underwriting.
Mm-hmm.
So working with first-time home buyers, you have a lot of people who are very nervous. You know, you get a lot of calls, a lot of text messages, and like to help eliminate that, I collect, year-to-date pay stubs from 2024, 2023, year-end pay stubs as well.
Yeah.
There are bank statements, and I actually submit that to underwriting as a TBD, a to be determined address, because we don't have an actual address yet. So we actually have an underwriter review the file, approve the file, and have like certain conditions.
Okay.
So when you compare that to a pre-approval, versus an actual loan approval, so then you can actually tell your borrower, hey, your loan is approved. Now all you have to do is find a property.
Okay.
So working with Fairway, I've been able to implement this into my business, and this has made the process smoother for clients who are very nervous, and spectacular for clients who are on the ball. So the process is, not all processes are smooth. However, this Fairway Pre-Approval Advantage program is the best and smoothest way for first-time home buyers.
Okay. And definitely I would agree. I don't know, there's probably a couple of different mortgage guys that I think I don't know if it's similar, but their thing is like pre-qualifying people and asking them, that's what I've heard, a bunch of questions to get them really to understand the scenario. And a lot of times people kind of get like hesitated because you're asking them like personal financial questions, which again, you're borrowing, just my opinion, you're borrowing $500,000.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you better get ready for them to ask you some personal questions, because like the money they're paying on your behalf is being put at risk. So they're going to ask you to make sure that obviously you're able to pay it back and it's the right fit to be lending that amount of money to you. So I definitely agree, because then it makes the process a lot smoother, right?
It does.
So, okay. So I got another question. So I guess what is the most misunderstood part of your role as a mortgage originator? Like, where do you feel the most, I guess, misunderstood the most in your role? Is what you do in real estate, mortgage.
Honestly, a lot of people think I'm a realtor.
Really?
Yeah, believe it or not. Like a lot of people think like I'm a realtor. Like, no, I'm a loan officer. Like, I help you obtain money. So if you need to buy a house, I can help you obtain money to buy a house. I'm not a realtor.
You're not out there. You're not out there in the market helping them find a house.
Yeah.
You're giving them the money.
I help
to
you
go
get
find
money. Yes, I help you get money. Like, I've had a lot of people like, hop into DMs and ask me to like, if I'm a realtor. Like, no. Like, like 100%. Like
I mean that's good though, for you to be able to provide leads to realtor partners. Then
this is true.
What do you think makes them feel like that? Is it because of how you're on social media or how you're talking, or what would make them feel like that?
I don't know. Maybe, maybe, I guess it's just the pictures, it's congratulations, this, that. And
I bet that's probably the bigger thing. It's like you do post a lot of like, when you go to your clients' closings and you'll post photos with them. That's typically what realtors do. But
yeah.
I mean, right? I mean, for the most part, if the mortgage guys go, they'll be in the photos as well. I guess coming from a client's perspective, you're just somebody who just sees that on social media.
Yeah,
that's probably where you would assume.
Or I mean, you can look at the profile. Click on the profile. It tells you.
Like mortgage origination.
Yeah, like hey, DMs. Hi, are you a realtor? Like, no, I'm not a realtor. I can help you get money though. I can help you get money.
Man, that's funny. That's crazy. I wouldn't have thought that, man. I would
telling you. Like, yeah, when you asked me that question, I was like, and honestly, it happened today. Like, yeah, on the way here. I'm like, no, I'm not a realtor. Like, I help you obtain money to buy a house. That's what I do.
All right, we're taking a short break from the interview to highlight the sponsor of all the videos, the Germinal Group. If you don't know who they are, Google them and take a look at their client testimonials. They are a real estate team out in Florida who primarily serve the Tampa Bay area, specifically Manatee County, Sarasota County, and Hillsborough County. The motto for the Germinal Group is where there's a will, there's a way, meaning whether it takes a year, 2 years, 3 or 10 years to get you ready to accomplish your real estate needs, they will be with you until the goal gets done and beyond that. So again, thank you for sponsoring Mixed Realities. And if any real estate needs that you have, reach out to them because their motto again is where there's a will, there's a way. And again, thank you for being a part of our Mixed Reality. All right. So how does your identity as a father shape the way that you approach clients, especially when you're dealing with families?
Honestly, I just use it as a way to connect. I use it as a way to like understand, like where they're coming from. When I first started, working in mortgage,
Mhm.
I would have to, we'd have to print out the loan disclosures
Yeah.
and drive to the family's houses. And a lot of times, like they would have kids, and then they're like, "Oh, sorry, mess your
Mhm.
house," and like, sorry the kids, and like, I'm like, "Oh, don't worry about it. I got kids too,
Mhm.
I'm used to it. And I use that as like a way, but like it's helped me to like connect more with my clients because at the end of the day, like we're lending you money and I'm helping you, purchase a house and I'm all in your business. I have your assets.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
best way is to actually be real and connect with them. And
Mhm.
you have kids and they have kids. That's just an easier way to like build the rapport.
Helps you understand.
You know,
Like, yeah. Okay. I mean, I agree for sure. Okay, so I would say into that then, like what kind of legacy are you looking to leave behind, not just financially, but like emotionally for your for both your son and daughter?
honestly, I just, by being who I am and I know like right now, like they don't understand. But I just, want them to know and they'll gradually see as they get older, like that dad, did everything he could, to be, a better person,
Mm-hmm.
in all aspect
Yeah.
of, of my life, and I would want them to not be stagnant and be, just like me, just always, wanting to improve,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just a whole, another thing. Cause like, I know a lot of people and some people are just okay with being where they're at,
Yeah.
you know, and, and there's nothing wrong with that, but like for me, you know, I want to like, do things I've never done before,
Mm-hmm.
and I want them to, I want them to experience the same thing. I want them to be the same way, because like, this industry has changed. Rates
Mm-hmm.
were like 2.5%. Now they're 7%. So, you have to like work. You have to like you have to work now. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have to work as hard as you can and to provide for your family and families and
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I want them to see that drive, that
Mm-hmm.
I have. And they don't see it, but eventually like I want to instill it in them.
Yeah.
So then
And
that way when I'm gone, like, they it's in them,
mm-hmm. You keep that going and hopefully they teach it to their kids.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So okay. So
You like that?
yeah, that was fire. I mean, hey, as a dad, I mean, like you said, there's nothing wrong with. I mean, I don't want to say stagnant, but if you've reached a point where you feel like I don't need to go any higher than that, hey, by all means, you're within your rights to do
Yeah.
so, and nobody's saying that's wrong. But
Yeah.
we all have our choices and preference. Like I'm on the spectrum that you're on. Like I want to be able to affect and change and be a blessing to other people.
Mhm.
So that's gonna first of all, that takes a lot of work. That's gonna take a lot of money to be able to do some of the things that I want to do and also leave behind. I think as a father, you have to do something that affects the next generation, or
Mhm.
else to me that if you don't do something that affects the next generation, that doesn't equate to you've been a successful father. You've made the best use of your time here on earth.
Mhm.
That's just my opinion and the opinions of a lot of other successful people. But there's nothing wrong with, because I think that looks different.
Yeah.
Because for me, I want to generationally set my family up financially, but also like do away with the limiting belief that I think was built into a lot of us. It's like you can only do so much, or you only have to be an athlete to be successful, or a rapper, or this, and that. I mean, you not only as a black individual or a minority, this is just a statement to any and everybody. You're only gonna go as far as your mind allows. So, and that looks different to a lot of people, because I mean, bro, we all can't be super rich. We can't have that. There are some people that, they're gonna maybe just want to run open up a restaurant and be fine with running just that one restaurant. And then there's a lot of people, you have the McDonald's of the world, that they want to open up massive franchise chains and all of that. It's just per your perspective. But I do agree with, like, for my kids, I want them to never be satisfied with their current situation. Always try to do more. And that's really for the next generation. Continue to learn more. Completely killing. I do what I've done in my life.
Yeah.
That's what I want for my sons and daughters. Like, go far beyond than what I was able to accomplish. And I will be smiling down from heaven while I'm looking at you, like, shatter everything that I've ever done. So, yeah, I agree.
You said daughter. I still have more?
Man, honestly, bro, like, I want a daughter. I mean, and for those that don't know, I got three boys. Crazy. Boys don't stop moving. They're just gonna keep going. Go. They test you. I don't have a daughter. I've heard daughters test you more than sons do. I think the sons are just active energy. My boys are hyper. And I have Crimson, man, my third. And if we want to start talking about kids, bro, this is gonna be like a 4-hour podcast.
Okay.
But right. But my son though, Crimson, he's the tester. He's gonna test you. He's gonna look at you and be like, no. He's gonna go do it anyways. That's what they're supposed to do, though, man. They're gonna test the boundaries.
Yeah.
Can't help but love them, man. They're so cute. But yeah, anyways. So have you ever, this is a good one too, actually. So have you ever had to say no to a deal? I feel like everybody looks at us and thinks, sales. They're just after everything. Like, have you ever had to say no to a deal because it wasn't in the client's best interest? And yeah, so I'm going to just ask you that first, the second part of the question. But have you ever had to say no to a deal, whether it wasn't the client's best interest or not, for you as well? Because sometimes deals aren't in your best interest either. Have you had to turn deals away because it wasn't of the best interest for you or the client?
Yes, 100%. 100%. You want me to tell you the scenario?
Tell me the scenario. Let me hear it.
Okay. So I had a guy who, he was a truck worker. He was a truck driver. And was with the same company for 6 years. And we were under contract, and he quit his job and started another job and didn't tell me. So, we had to get the pay stub. And, once we got the pay stubs weren't adding up. And so, we do the verification of employment with the owner of the trucking company, and he sends us back, an explanation saying the guy's salary, full time. Okay, great. And so then there was other conditions where, in this age, people have direct deposit, right? And how often are, big trucking companies only getting paid, check deposits? Okay. So, we're a month into the process, and there's no check deposits and there's no direct deposits, being deposited into the account.
Yeah.
And so, mind you, this particular loan he was working with another lender. And so as we began to, like, dig more into his file, turned out he wasn't even employed by the new company. He only knew the owner. So he really wasn't employed. So it was just total fraud all around.
So wait, so he knew the owner, so he had the owner write him a letter?
Correct.
But he wasn't really working with him.
He wasn't really working. And it was just like fraud to the max. And I flat out told him, like, I don't want to do this deal. This is why. I don't believe, you're truly employed, and, I can't do your loan. So I think it's, best if you work with the lender that you've been working with, but I'm out.
And What was his reaction? I bet he wasn't too happy.
He at first there was pushback, but then he calmed down. I mean, I wasn't wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like to me, I thought I was right. You know, it just wasn't add up. And again, we're professional, problem solvers. And if verification, comes back from an LLC owner
Mm-hmm.
and pay stubs don't match, there's no direct deposits, there's no checks, then how are you getting paid? Are you really working?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so it just wasn't right.
All right. Well,
He also like stayed with that lender, the loan didn't close. He was denied.
can you really even close a loan without? I mean, if you're using your employment as a source of income,
Mhm.
and that's what you originally he told you originally, and then that
Mhm.
changed, can he even close regardless if it's with you or somebody else? Like, if you're not employed and this is your only means of income, could he have closed? Could you have closed him on the loan?
No, he wasn't employed.
Yeah. So.
We're trying to determine if he was employed.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to prove his income. Well, the math wasn't mathing.
Yeah.
But that just goes again to like, mortgage is just a lot of fraud.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, they're just scammers. There's just people, out there just trying to beat the system.
Mm-hmm. Well, that it's crazy because that what you're saying kind of falls in line with my next question, which is like, what does integrity look like for you in this business? Like, as far as like what you're doing, because I'm sure so many different opportunities, and people definitely try to get you to not only commit fraud, but like try to sneak past you with it, like by feeding you false information.
Mm-hmm.
So what does integrity looks like to you, and how have you been able to execute that version of the integrity?
Listen, I love my job. I'm licensed and I want to continue doing like what I'm doing.
Mhm.
I couldn't see myself doing anything else. So if there's any kind of like, like client that's, wanting me to like tiptoe like the line, like
Mhm.
I'm not doing it. Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like you can't help me pay my mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not going to sacrifice, that, for your one loan,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Because your situation wasn't what it's supposed to be. So I can't make that situation, look like it's a great situation to the people I work with
Yeah. Yeah.
to get a loan.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it.
Yeah. And then outside of that, I mean,
Yes, I've 100% had that happen to me multiple times. But again, like I want to sleep at night.
yeah, and
I want to keep my license.
you're free, right? Because I mean, a lot
Oh,
of this
yeah.
stuff, you start pushing fraud, bro, you're gonna go to jail.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, we've seen tons of it, right? Back in 08 and 0, like 08 or 09 when the market crashed because of
Oh yeah.
all the fraudulent loans and stuff that they were doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, freedom and work, please. So and vice versa, because I experienced the same thing on my spectrum. A lot of times, right, these loans can be the time and effort and frustration put into it can be avoided if you're just honest from the get-go. So
Oh yeah.
just be honest when you're being questioned through the pre-approval process. And a lot of times these clients, if they would just be honest with you from the get-go, because sometimes it's not fraud. They just are not giving you all the information that
Yeah.
you're asking for. So then later on, when undoubtedly all the stuff that you're asking for goes into underwriting, and they push back and like, hey, what about this? We need this. And then now they're getting that information like you asked in the first place.
Mhm.
And that's like, oh, well, we can't do your loan because such and such. I'm like, hey, didn't I ask you for this from the get-go?
From the
You never
get-go.
gave me that information,
Mhm.
or you gave me wrong information. And now ultimately you end up wasting, like, let's say 30, 45 days into this just to find out oh no, you can't get a loan because you don't qualify because of X and X.
Mhm.
So it's like, as a person who's looking to purchase a property, whether it's residential or commercial, I mean, obviously there's all sorts of type of financing that require different things, but whatever the type of financing that you're applying for, be honest when they're asking you these things. It'll save yourself, not even just forget the professional, but you a lot of heartache and headache.
Oh yeah.
Because you're going to go through the process. It's stressful. It's a lot of things that you're going to need to give just to find out 35 days you're under contract, $10,000 in escrow later that you can't buy the house. Now you lose $10,000 because you weren't honest or didn't give all the information. And I mean, I could wake up tomorrow and be a gazillionaire, and I would not like to lose 10 grand.
Oh, no way.
Bro, that's a lot. That's a decent chunk of money that once you go into escrow, you have, whether it's 2 to 3 days to get whatever the agreed amount of money, specifically now that we're in a buyer's market, sellers are going to want a good amount of money to show that you're serious about buying the home and that you're not going to back out because you found something better. So they're going to ask you for a decent amount of money to show that you're serious. And that entails you with financing, like you have to get financing within such amount of time. So when you don't give your originator what they're asking for, you're not completely truthful and transparent with whatever they're asking you over your situation. You're putting that money in jeopardy. I think that's really why it's there too. It's a big portion of why escrow is there. So I mean, the sellers aren't locking their property up 60 days or 45 days just to be played with.
Yeah.
Now you lost out on a good chunk of money. So we definitely want to keep it 100. Be honest with people about these questions. All right, man. So I want to ask you a question, just like kind of like see what your convictions are, right? So I want to make sure I ask this question like the right way. So how does your hold on a second. So if I had to ask you about fatherhood and just the term of it, what does fatherhood mean to you? Like the term, what would you define fatherhood as?
Well, you have to be a leader, because they are watching you. And, and like for me, like I've said before, like it's important for me to like lead them. And I know like for me, leading by example is the best way to teach them. They see like what I do. Like when I get haircuts, I tell Zeke, look, see, Dada's fresh. Like when you go out in the public, like, people see that, like, Dada's fresh. That's why I want you to get a haircut. When I was young, like, I never wanted to get a haircut. Zeke's like, it's the summer and his hair's all curly, and I'm always, let's go get a haircut. No, I don't want to get a haircut. I'm like, look, let's get a haircut, But that just goes back to, just, going out in public and, and just looking the part and just looking presentable. And, because first impressions matter.
Yeah,
They do. And so if there's anything that I can teach my kids, for me is your first impression matters, because that's what the people are going to judge you about.
Yeah, I agree.
And
there's no redo either.
There's no redo.
So
there's no redo. So that's that's what I'll take from fatherhood, how I lead, and like and also goes into like what I'm instilling into my kids.
Yeah, that's fire, man. That's terrific. I agree too. Leadership is definitely a required thing as a father. You have to lead children. I think just as a man in general, though. I mean,
yeah, like once you have the kids, like you ain't got no choice. You gotta be a leader.
Yeah, you either gonna step up or step down.
Yeah,
and you can't step down. That's the thing.
You can't. You can't.
Yeah, that's fire, bro. I really like that response. Okay, so what do you tell yourself on the hard days, like when fatherhood and or work both feel overwhelming, which we all have those days. What do you tell yourself, or what sort of routine do you have to get yourself out of that state, to getting back on track?
I don't have I wouldn't say like a routine, but I will say going to the gym has helped me, keep things mellow, to a point. It's helped me with my mindset, my mental, and how I, approach situations.
Yeah.
And even when I'm under pressure, because remember, like I'm like being like a loan officer, like I'm in communication with a lot of people in the process. So like going back to being patient, like I've learned to be very patient since becoming a loan officer, because you just don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
And like being where I am as a loan officer, you have to be one that's not a hothead.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't, like, you just have to be, but then like you just have that client, or you have that, listing agent just coming at you sideways, but you just still have to keep it professional, be patient. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much what I can tell you. The gym has been my therapist. Like I don't, I don't go to therapy, but like just going to the stairmaster, being on the stairmaster, being in the sauna, um, that's helped me tremendous. And believe it or not, like I hated lifting weights.
Mm-hmm.
I hated lifting weights, but now, I don't see a day like where I can go without going to the gym. Now I don't like, I don't go to the gym every day. What do I do like on days like I don't go to the gym? Like I go to the beach,
Yeah, yeah.
But that, obviously I'm not working then.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how I deal with my situations. I usually lift in the morning, and that helps me walk or stand in the paint, stand in the fire,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps me like maneuver and like and just say the intelligent thing to keep all parties on board, keep all parties happy, and get everyone to the closing table.
Okay. All right. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a portion of it for me too. And I think what you're saying, like not you're in a routine of it though.
Hmm.
But I think if you're not somebody who like goes to the gym, I would say for sure fitness
Oh yeah,
is a must when you're doing
100%.
this because it just comes with so much that if you're not at least in shape or on the way trying to get your health in place, that it'll break you quickly.
Oh yeah,
So, and I
especially
yeah, go ahead.
especially the mental part. Like some of these situations like would just like hit you in like a mental way, and like if you're in real estate or if you're in mortgage, you know what I'm talking about. Like
Hmm.
where like there's something going on with the file, and maybe it's not even loan related. It's something the buyer did. Like
Yeah,
we had
yeah.
times where remember one of our loans, the buyer was one of the buyers bought a dog, financed a dog,
Oh
like,
man, bro.
and like this is literally a week before closing, and like yeah, she told us it was something else, and honestly, like I was so stunned because like I didn't even know you can finance a dog, you know?
You
And it was just like, yeah, like I financed the dog, and I was just like, thought it was just a cash
know it's
transaction,
crazy. Not
you
even
know?
to reveal too much, man, but it's like we wasn't told that it was financed. If she financed the dog, he or she financed the dog. It was I aided in financing the animal.
Yeah.
Which, bro, first of all,
That's even worse. Co-signing for a dog.
don't buy
Now,
the dog, bro.
yeah, don't if you got a
Like,
co-sign for a dog, don't buy a dog.
leave the
Like,
dog
yeah, leave a
alone
dog alone.
if you got to co-sign it. But let me tell you something. We also, again, you do this for a living, so we know when things don't add up. Why? Because credit. When you financing things, it's on your credit.
Hmm.
So there's no way you co-sign something. And let me tell you guys too, man, don't go willy-nilly signing and co-signing for people because sooner or later you're bound to want to do something and that's going to affect you negatively. Okay, so I wouldn't go. I know a lot of family members, they'll go and ask, hey, can you finance this or can you help me co-sign on a car or a house even? Remember, once you co-sign on somebody's loan, even if you're not making the payments, once they miss their payments, whatever negative thing that they do to that loan also shows up as yours, just as if you were to be the one missing payments and or not paying your loans at all. So it reflects on you. So just a, a bit of advice for anybody who's, they're asking you to co-sign something. Don't do it. Don't buy a dog if you're co-signing, if you have to co-sign for it to be bought.
Don't buy a
I
dog.
love, yeah, I love dogs though. I love dogs. I prefer that they have great lives. Not to say that they won't, but he or she, or he, or whatever you want to say, implied that they didn't know that it was they co-signed. I'm like, bro, you didn't finance an animal or anything, and thought you were co-signing it, but it ended up being just you. Like, it's not a thing. So let's just be honest though. This goes back to being honest about what we're doing. Even though we made that work though, we still end up closing that loan.
Yeah.
Because just so the situation demanded it, there was enough room in the DTI where it didn't matter that had been added onto her credit, but that could have completely went the opposite way, right? So we just want to make sure, and even if you don't, make sure we're thorough about inquiring on what's going on our credit, because credit is something that should be taken serious because you need it in life to prosper. So you want to make sure you know what's happening at all times and don't willy-nilly give your credit away to somebody else.
Yeah.
Specifically to buy animals. Don't buy the animal if you have to finance it. Just an opinion. Out of love. All right. So if your kids were listening to this podcast, let's say in 10 years, man, you have like grown kids in 10 years. Crazy.
I don't want to think about it.
That's wild, bro.
Let's just be in the moment.
Yeah. All right. So if they were listening to this podcast in 10 years, what would you want them to hear from their dad in 10 years? We're a much different space at that time.
I just want them to know that I loves you. If you see this in 10 years, I've always loved you, and keep reaching for the stars.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I got.
That's good though. I mean, keep pushing forward, right? All right. So if there were what's one piece of advice that you would give to another single parent, specifically a single dad, in the same exact situation as you, grinding, and not even just mortgage, just in business, or they have a business, trying to start a business, but they're a single parent. What is a piece of advice you'd give to them to raise great kids?
Best advice I could give to you is to be present. And I know it's it's pretty, like, it's like pretty basic, but like, I mean, to have like a relationship with like someone that's like, it's basically you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's you reincarnated. To be present, and like, and if you at least try to be present, like, you'll love it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, once you love it, like I love it, like, then you just have like for me, you just have like this drive, and like, and you don't want to let them down.
Yeah.
And that's how I just became like, I think I'm a great father.
You
I
killing it, bro.
don't care what anyone else thinks, but like, I love my kids. You know what I mean? And like, I like would do whatever, and like, I'm 100% like driven by them, and like what I do. Would love to see them smile. Would love to see them, get this and get that, and like, and that's part of like what keeps me going.
Bro, I think it's really weird if what you're saying is not how everybody else views their children. You should want to see your kids succeed, smile.
Oh yeah.
And I think, as you say, as a part of, like, I look at my kids like they're mini me's. But I think God has given us an opportunity to correct some of the things that we didn't like when we were growing up. So do better than what you had, because it's
100%.
Bro, it's legitimately, if you look at your children, they're just like little versions of you, because they got your traits. They do some of the same things you do. I notice my kids literally chew exactly how I chew.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that stuff goes way beyond just like physical traits. It's like things, your DNA that's been woven into them. So it's like they're little miniature versions of you. Mm-hmm. And if I think back right to when I was a kid, like if I bring myself back to that when I was their age as a little kid, innocent, like, man, you just look at him like, all right, bro, now I get to do this for you. Mm-hmm. Like, and I think being intentional, you said presence, because you've been saying it so much. Yeah, we hear it, but a lot of people don't do it though. I think it's not basic. It's very important that you're super present and also aware and conscious of what you're doing and saying. Be intentional about being a parent and correcting some of these things. Just like as a bodybuilder, they're super intentional. They try to, and even though I've heard, and I think I agree with that too, that you can't specifically target a specific point in your body to like work out. Mm-hmm. But like, you have to think about it like that as a parent. Like, I'm like, okay, let me see what the traits of my kids are. Where are their strengths? Where are the weaknesses? Let's try to work on getting their weaknesses. Like, be intentional about carving. Okay, well, does your kid struggle with some of the same thing, like emotional intelligence? Start paying attention and crafting them to fix that so they don't carry it on to the next generation. Mm-hmm. So I think what you're saying, and that all requires being present, because you're not going to see these things unless you're there and present with your kids and watching them grow up. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very important, brother. And I think because of your mindset, that is why, I mean, I can attest to this. I see you with your kids love you. And that's a thing that I use to judge specifically fathers, but men in general. I look at, if I have the opportunity to see you interacting with your kids, I'm going to look at how they're treating you, because that always reveals it. They're not going to lie in how they treat you unless they're being coerced. And even that, for me, I'm able to tell. Mm-hmm. Like, if your kids are loving towards you and like you, then you have to be doing something, like at least be able to like communicate with them well enough to where like you guys are connected, versus to how they treat you, even in fakeness, right? Like, you can tell them like, yeah, all right, bro, if you can't do right by your family, to me, you out of the questions for me anyways. Like, I'm not doing business with you. I'm not doing nothing with you if you're not able to take care of your responsibilities to your family. Because to me, if you're able to do something to your kids and family, I am easy game. So that's a thing that I use as a basic. If you're a father, I'm definitely, I'm not going to say I'm judging you. I'm not judging, but that's how I'm going to gauge if I will interact with you or not. or if you're worthy of me respecting you, is how your family and your children specifically are treating you. Because what I mean, you can tell your kids to lie; they're not very good at lying. Because I mean,
No.
as you see, you go out and you be like, "Hey," like they'll say something that's like happening in your house that
Mhm.
it might not be bad, but something personal. They'll go out right. Oh yeah, Dada just bought a new car. Dada did this. Dad.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They can't help it, man. It's the beautiful part of children. They're innocent,
Oh, yeah.
so they'll just say what they see and do what they see.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of why I gauge it. I think it's very important, brother. I mean, outside of that, man, I mean, I pretty much asked all the questions that I have for you, man. This was a fantastic interview. I mean, we talk all the time.
Oh yeah.
But it was good. I mean, I love to be able to show everybody who they're working with, who like give them a chance to connect to some of the professional and show their personality. Because I mean, there's plenty of mortgage officers, there's plenty of real estate agents. Some are good at their jobs, some aren't good at their jobs. But I think if you connect with somebody, it'll help make you want to see them succeed even more. And then if they connect back to you,
Mhm.
they'll be more open and vulnerable and easier to do work with them. So
Mhm.
that's kind of why I created this platform again to have the conversations that professionals refuse to have. I mean, it's not often you're seeing people that are doing mortgages and real estate or banking, politics specifically. They don't like being honest.
Mhm.
But here we're gonna give people a chance to show who they are and tell the truth. Hopefully they are telling the truth, but that's what we like to that's what we like to say on this platform. So, do you have anything that you'd like to say to whoever may be watching this? That you'd like something you'd like them to know about you, your work, or anything?
Oh yeah. If you currently rent right now, I remember I think it was like 2016. I was probably like my rent was like $1,000. Now right now, like one bedroom, like apartment, you're probably paying like almost $2,000 now.
Hmm.
You know,
18.
I know like maybe you're ready, maybe you're not ready. But if you're not ready and you need some help, like we can definitely help you put a plan in place to get you a property. Maybe it's not right now, but it might be down the line. Like homes are going to continue to appreciate. This market's not going to crash. So if you need any help, any guidance, financing, or looking for a home, we can help you.
Mm.
We can help you, build some generational wealth. And we're here locally.
And I think it's important. I mean, I'm not gonna say that every time, but I think it's very important to work with somebody that knows the local market because obviously there's like a general market, but then as you like continue to zoom in, things change based on pocket areas. Like this area might be super hot, even though technically we're in a buyer's market. But this area might still be super hot because of the school zones, the location, the area. People might desire it. So as soon as a listing comes on the market, it sells really quickly there versus to the general scope of things where, oh no, things are taking a little bit longer to move. So I think it's important that you work with a local professional and the one that also knows what's happening in the area to tell you, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. And be able to highlight certain things for you so you can make an informed decision. So yeah, I mean, for all your real estate needs, as you see, and I hope we're able to like show you guys as an audience that we care about the clients. It's not just a paycheck for us. Yes, we're in sales. Yes, it's our job to close homes, but we care about making sure you're successful because we want to be in business with the people that we work with for a long time. And hopefully we can become friends just like we've became friends with some of the clients that we're working with. It's so much easier to do business with people that you like, know, and love. And that's what everybody wants pretty much. You want to work with who you like, know, and love. And that doesn't necessarily mean working with family and friends, but that means like you like who you work with. You know them enough to where you can put your confidence and faith that they're going to be able to help you accomplish what you're doing. So, and that's what we prioritize. The Germinal Group, where there's a will, there's a way. That means pretty much to me, I would say that means we're in it for the long haul. Whatever your goals are, we're going to help you accomplish them. And I can attest to Hudson being the person that have the similar values, which we work with vendors that have similar values as we do, because if you don't, then we can't work well together. So all your real estate needs, you got our information. Hudson's information will be in the description of the video. Reach out to him and ask him for any mortgage needs or anything that you may need out of Manatee County, Sarasota County, and the greater Tampa Bay area. We are able to help you. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you are licensed in multiple states, right?
Oh yeah, licensed in Florida. If you need a loan in Florida, I can do loans in Florida. if you're trying to purchase in Georgia, I do loans in Georgia as well.
Okay, so fantastic. So I'm not in Georgia as of yet, but he can help you with any mortgage needs that you have out in Florida and or Georgia. All right, brother. Again, man, I really appreciate you
Of course.
coming on and doing this interview with us, man. It was great to have this conversation. I always love me a good talk, man. I mean, I'm a communicator, or else I wouldn't be doing this. So I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate
and
you
for
too.
everybody, again, we appreciate you for being a part of our mixed reality. If you know anybody who's looking to do interviews to broadcast or show their business and show their personality so they can connect with more people, please reach out to me directly. Send them my information. I'm a real estate agent. My phone number is very public. Search up the Germinal group. It's not hard to find. And reach out to us and we'll be happy to connect with people. That's our thing. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Look forward to the next episode. Hey guys, thank you again for tuning into the interview. Without you, there is no mixed realities. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and please hit the notification bell so you can be notified when we drop new videos. We're still actively recruiting people to do these interviews so we can drop an episode a week. Again, thank you for being a part of our mixed realities. See you in the next interview.